are there people here? Is anybody here?
Out here, 'cause it's.
Hmm?
No, I was just gonna sing to myself.
Oh, yeah?
Is there a poll?
I mean, there should be a poll.
It hasn't shown up for me yet.
Oh,
Oh, there it is. There we go.
there you have it. Now you can see we have a poll indeed. Oh, now I have a distracting version of me on the screen since it looks like YouTube has changed their stuff here. Is it actually playing for you, Amber?
I don't know. How do I tell that?
Well, I mean, like if the video is going.
Oh, last I checked, it wasn't, but
Hey, how's it going, Tuesday? Can you see and can you hear us? Hopefully you can, because otherwise things might be malfunctioning. And I know I was having issues earlier.
yeah, I still don't see a video.
You don't see a video? Oh no. Well, that's not good. Maybe I'll ask Tuesday if they see the video.
It could just be my phone is glitching. I can quit my app and get back in.
Find out. We'll find out. I don't know. I don't know. It says we have an excellent connection. Oh, I'm a little quiet compared to Amber? Well, that's not good. Maybe my... I wonder what's going on there.
You're
Huh.
usually the loud one.
I don't know. Oh, because my microphone is on me. Oh, that's what's going on.
That would make all the difference.
There you go. How's that? Now you can probably hear me. Now I can probably be as loud as you can stand. Excellent. Well, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to July live stream. I'm glad you can make it, and I'm glad that everything is hopefully working now. It looks like 50% of the people so far like cookouts, and the other people like hoser. Oh, ho-ter.
Yeah, I should say other. I'm looking forward to becoming a published novelist in July.
Ooh,
So I had to say other.
very nice.
But I like all of them.
All right, folks, let's get started. We got a full plate of stories today, and they're all very delicious. Very delicious Reddit stories. Speaking of Reddit being delicious, our first letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for telling my sister that I will feed her kids food that they will eat as long as they are dinner guests, and she has the choice not to come if that bothers her? Well, my family and I take turns hosting dinners with everyone about once a month. Sometimes more if we're simply looking to entertain. I'm a 28-year-old male and I like having dinner parties, so I invite them over more. My older sister, a 39-year-old female, always accepts the invites, and then she complains that I feed her kids instead of leaving them with no food because they won't eat what she wants them to eat. Well, my sister has 4 kids, and 2 of them eat with no problems, and the other 2, the oldest and third child, are labeled as extremely picky eaters and won't touch most stuff. My sister has always believed that picky eating was a parenting failure and that the kids will stop when it's not encouraged. But her oldest is 9 and her third child is 6, and both are still very limited in what they'll eat and show no signs of improvement or growth. They have to take supplements because they don't eat enough, and they have regular blood draws to make sure that they're doing okay. I always cook what they'll eat. My sister doesn't agree with this, and she feels that they should be having everything or nothing. She doesn't want to coddle the picky eaters. And I was always clear that I would not let a child go hungry in my house, even if they're simply a guest. I rotate between the dishes, and I know that each one likes soupy chicken fried rice, red pasta with fruit salad side, and chicken stuffed baked potatoes, to name a few of the things. It drives my sister absolutely wild. This is whether everyone gets the same, or I make 2 struggling eaters something that I know they'll eat. Again, I was upfront with this with her when I started. I told her that I will not let them go hungry in my home. She still comes and she still complains and accuses me of undermining her parenting. She said that I should not be feeding her kids things that she says no to. I told her that I will give them food that they will eat as long as she comes over, and if she doesn't like it, then she can choose not to come. Well, the rest of the family has my back, which makes her mad even more. And I know that I could stop inviting her, but I love her kids, and I love seeing them and being able to help them eat. She confronted me saying this stuff to her. She said that I should be more respectful, that she's a mom, and that I am not a parent, and I'm showing her the respect that I should as the oldest sibling in the family, and that I'm not showing her the respect. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. It sounds like Opie is feeding the kids the food that they need. And it also sounds like Opie is feeding them plenty of healthy food. Like, I'm wondering if the sister is making the kids go to bed hungry if they don't eat what she makes for them. Because, like, if they're to the point of nutritional deficiencies and having to be on supplements all the time, that is concerning. And I mean, not there. Some people just like have a hard time in general. Like, there are people who you can feed them all the healthy stuff in the world and they'll still have nutritional deficiencies. But the fact that it's correlated with these two kids who seem to eat fine at Opie's house, like it sounds like they'll eat fruit,
Mm-hmm.
they'll eat like potatoes and chicken and stuff like that. So it may not be like they eat everything, but it does sound like they have a varied enough diet if the sister would just let them eat.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's one of those situations where it's really difficult for me to make a judgment about how whether or not the sister is being neglectful or not, and because I don't know if we have quite enough information. Like there are a lot of kids who are on supplements, and if any kid is going to any annual checkup worth its salt is going to give you blood draws and stuff like that to make sure that you are actually well nourished and whatnot. So I wouldn't necessarily feel like I could say one way or another for that aspect, but I do feel like this is really approaching that, and if not, exceeding it just because of like how she's acting here.
Well, the way she's demanding that Opie basically starve her kids if like and make foods explicitly that they won't
Yeah.
like that's such a weird thing to do. And it's again, some kids just have finicky palates or have sensory issues. There's all kinds of reasons why kids may not like certain foods, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you're a failure of a parent if your kids don't like particular foods. It
Yeah.
just means your kids have different taste buds or sensitivities.
Yeah. And I just feel like it's extraordinarily like in poor taste, not to, no pun intended, for her to try to dictate what OP should feed them just because they're feeding them stuff that she doesn't, because that's stuff that they will eat.
Right. Well, again, that's the weird thing to me. Like, I would understand if Opie was like trying to feed them all like potato
Or
chips for
sugar
dinner.
or
Oh yeah,
something
or
like that.
exactly. But these are nice, nutritious meals. It sounds like,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like she's just upset because the kids actually want to eat it.
Yeah. But what do the comments have to say?
Tuesday says, "Not the jerk. The sister is literally abusing her kids. Starving the kids is not the answer."
Yeah, I can agree on that. Speaking of not the answer, our next letter is titled, I'm a 35-year-old female and my boyfriend, a 37-year-old male, celebrated after my dog passed away. Am I the jerk if I continue to give him the cold shoulder? And I would say no.
Well, I also say that that's not the answer. The answer is to dump him.
Yeah, the answer is to dump the man. I am a 35-year-old female and I've been with my boyfriend Caleb, a 37-year-old male, for a year now, as of last June 16th. We literally just celebrated our anniversary. When my dad passed away last year, I sort of inherited Pepper, his 13-year-old black lab, who is the sweetest pup alive. I won't make excuses, but when Pepper passed away this past Thursday rather, I was absolutely devastated. I could not stop crying. I kept the house for my boyfriend. Keep the house for my boyfriend, as he's the only one working right now. I was downsized last month, and this just became the normal until I get another job. And I couldn't make lunch. I pulled myself together enough to make dinner. He was annoyed enough to mutter, "Are you kidding me?" when I started crying again, and it just hurt. I just tried to be quiet the rest of the time. Well, last night, a bunch of his friends came over. First, I wasn't surprised. He lived in the house for a while and got it from his parents, so he's been in the area forever. He has a lot of friends, so when the first and second and third person showed up, I didn't really much think about it and just pointed them to the den where my boyfriend was. But then, like, the fourth and then maybe the 10th showed up, and I was like, what is happening? Well, I dropped into the den to check and see how things were going, and one of the friends shouted, "Ah, the guest of honor," before my boyfriend whacked his arm. I kind of laughed it off, and it wasn't until one of the guys came by to offer condolences about Pepper that I was asked what was going on. That I asked what was going on. He looked a little uncomfy and then said that it was just a stupid joke, but it was a party to congratulate my boyfriend because we're now child free. I asked, what does that mean? And he said that it's like when a kid goes to college, sort of, but now we're empty nesters. Well, I was upset and he left quickly, so I went back to the den and asked my boyfriend what this was about. But then I saw a makeshift card that said, "Congrats, the bee is in a ditch." I was stunned. My boyfriend was staring at it and grabbed it, turning to his friend saying that it was a bad joke and not to worry about it and blaming it on his friend. That's when everyone started mumbling. I can't give a full account what was exactly happening, but I got upset. I did ask everyone to leave, all but one did, and my boyfriend started arguing with me about it being his house and I have no right to kick his friends out or stop the party. I asked him to tell me the truth. Was this party thrown because Pepper is gone? He didn't really answer, but the friend who stayed behind confirmed that it was. I slept on the couch last night and left early for a job interview, but I don't want to go back there. I love my boyfriend. It's just that this was cruel. He did notice that I never came back to bed and got my coffee ready with a good luck note attached to it as he works from home and was in his own office. But I didn't take it. I just took the Pepper leash and collars and I went to my interview. So, this is so far out of left field. He's not like this? I'm just sad. He's on my main account, so I made this to vent. How do I even talk to him about this? Whenever I think about him, I just want to lose it. I want to shout at him and tell him to stick his audacity where the sun don't shine. But to be honest, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't like when people shout. I feel so lost right now. Will I be the jerk if I stayed away for a bit? I don't even want to look at him, let alone talk to him. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. And Opie, I think you should stay away from him for a very, very long time, as in forever. What he did is beyond cruel.
Yeah.
He decided to throw a party celebrating your pet's demise in your home with you around. Like, what was he expecting to happen when he was literally throwing a party over your dog's death?
Yeah, I don't know how someone could be this cruel or callous, and especially to their partner,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like your partner just lost their beloved pet, who is also kind of in some way a proxy for their father,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I I don't know, I just feel that this was a pretty horrible thing to do to a partner in general.
Yeah, well, and like not even just like the party is like the worst of it too,
Mm-hmm.
but like there was also, the day that Pepper died, OP was like tearing up and he
Yeah.
was like, I don't remember his exact words, but it was like, "Are you kidding me?" or something like that.
Yeah.
No emotional comfort, no emotional support. Is this really someone you want to be with long term? And I know he hasn't been like this before, but OP, he is showing you who he really is now.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good point here. It's like he is showing his true colors, right? And that's really what it boils down to. But what do the comments have to say?
Tuesday says, "Not the jerk. I wouldn't just give the cold shoulder. He'd be an ex.
Oh yeah.
How dare you celebrate the death of family because pets are family?" And then Susum says, "Believe it when people show you who they really are."
Welcome, Susums. Welcome to the party. Speaking of
Not for dog deaths though. You're celebrating Reddit stories.
no, no, Amber. I'm afraid that you were mistaken about what we are celebrating today. I hope you don't mind. Speaking of celebrating, our next letter is titled, "I'm a 30-year-old female and my husband, a 30-year-old male, has been making sperm donations behind my back after finding out that I was infertile, and now he has a son."
What?
Maybe party was the wrong word.
Yeah, what a stellar segue.
That was the segue of all segues. My husband and I have been married for 3 years after trying for over a year. We found out that I'm infertile. I don't want to go into the condition, but we were advised that there's a very low chance of me getting pregnant. Even if I did, there's a high chance that the baby will have a serious issue. Consequently, we decided not to have children, and neither of us really wanted to adopt. He was extremely supportive when he found out and reassured me that this would not affect our relationship. It seemed that we were both on the same page regarding kids. However, after using his laptop with his permission, I stumbled onto an email from a sperm bank confirming that he was a patient. And after going down the rabbit hole, I discovered that he has been making sperm donations for years. I then confronted him about it, and he told me that he has a 2-year-old biological son and wants to see him. I was shocked and I felt awful as he's never told me. He has known since he was born, as in my country it's law for a donor to leave their information to be read by the child when they turn 18. He told me that he wasn't truthful about not wanting kids and made the donations to assure that he would have a child. Would everyone in this be in would everyone be in agreement that this is justification for divorce? I feel betrayed and hurt, and I do really love him, and I want and I and we had a great marriage up until now. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, I mean, I think that is definitely cause for divorce if that's what you're feeling. He kept some giant secret from you, like keeping secret kids that you want, that is not like something you keep from your partner. If he, by having biological kids was so important to him, that's fine, but he needed to be upfront about his plans. And especially now where he wants to be in the kid's life, like it seems like he's putting OP in a very bad situation where he gets to live out, his fantasy of having a biological child and have some level of involvement, and Opie's just kind of along for the ride. Like, I don't know. It just feels very icky to me that he would go behind her back like that.
So I have a little bit of mixed feelings on this one. I think he's clearly in the wrong for one not talking about this with their partner before making donations, and I think that that needed to be something that they sat down and talked about, and actually were on the same page with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, suppose like he had done sperm donations before they got into a relationship. I don't know if I would say that would be something that would be something that should be disclosed or not.
Oh, I absolutely think it needs to be disclosed.
And I think where this really runs into an issue is his desire to be involved with the child more than anything, right? To me, that kind of is a betrayal of like their agreement that they weren't going to have children and that they were fine with this. And plus, it's a kind of a slap in the face to his wife who can't have children, right? So he gets to have the benefit of having children without, with this very shady, way of going about it and not talking to his partner about it. I really think that this should have been something that they discussed, then got onto the same page about without him doing this behind her back. So that's where I think that this has problems. Like, I think that it's important for people to donate sperm because I do think that there is certainly a level of need for it, right? Because people do sometimes want to have children without having a partner or any other thing. So I think that is an important thing that people can do. But I do think that this needs to be something that both people are on the same page about in the relationship. So that's where my biggest fault for him is, and the fact that he's like now wants to be involved with a child. It just feels like such disrespect to OP.
Yeah.
But what do the comments have to say?
Tuesday says, not the jerk, run far away. He is actively lying not only in the secret donating, but in his true feelings about his family with OP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, then that's the issue. That's the issue. Speaking of the issue, I don't know. I don't have a good segue here. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for postponing the wedding when my fiance was demanding to be paid back the money that he paid for his late wife's surgery? This one is another terrible one, folks. I, a female, have been with my fiance, M, a male, Jake, for over a year. His late wife died from an illness. We were supposed to be in the middle of wedding planning, but something came up, and I had to postpone as a response. Well, Jake told me that he gave people money, and then once they paid him back, we would go on a honeymoon. So I understood why he needed the money. It turns out that the people that owed him the money were his ex-in-laws. The money was for his late wife's surgery. I was stunned. I overheard him argue with one of the ex-in-laws, and he the ex-father-in-law, was telling Jake that he shouldn't have expected money that he willingly spent on his late wife's surgery. And Jake went on about how much he helped already and that he wanted the money back. I was shocked. I tried to speak to him about it, and he got defensive. I flat out told him that he had no right to demand the money back that he paid for his late wife's surgery, and that it was disrespectful not just to his ex in laws, but to her memory. He looked at me shocked and said that I was being judgmental. From what I understand, his late wife was staying at home and took care of the house. I feel like it's unfair that he demands the money back. He got upset and said that of course he had every right and told me to stay out of it. We argued loudly and I ended up telling him that I would postpone the wedding since this is how he was behaving. He stormed out and tried to get his friends to be involved and hopefully talk some sense into me. I decided to go stay with mom for a few days, and my mom said that I shouldn't have gotten involved in this matter and escalated to the point that I was postponing it. I want to know if I've overstepped here and whether or not I've made the wrong decision. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, you're not in the wrong. What he is asking is absolutely despicable. Like, when he married his late wife, he made a commitment to take care of her.
Yeah,
It's not like now that she's dead, that obligation just like he can now like takesy backsies for everything he paid for her. Like, oh
yeah,
well, she's your child now that she's gone, like to his in-laws. Like that was his obligation as a partner to pay those bills. Her parents are not obligated to take on that money now that she's gone.
yeah. Well, that's that is the. It seems very in poor taste,
Mhm.
right? Like here, he is just basically trying to extort money out of people who already are hurt, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, I understand that he's probably hurt too, but sometimes you just have to take losses in life, right? You don't just get to be like, ah, well, I want this money back from this thing here. Um, I just don't know what he's thinking here, and if I were OP, I would probably really examine this hard. Maybe
Yeah.
this isn't something like he's kind of showing what kind of person he is here,
Mhm.
right? And how is that going to impact his? I mean, not his, but OP's family if something like this happens, right?
Right, exactly. Is he gonna like if OP were to have something horrible happen, would he just go straight to her family and be like, "Okay, you gotta pay. This is like he only had regard for his wife until she died, and then like I understand people move on, but that doesn't mean you just treat their families like their bank accounts for you."
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my biggest problem here is that it just seems like it's a cash grab at a certain point. They want to go on a honeymoon, and he sees them as a bank account, and that's kind of I think unfortunately the way it is. But what do the comments have to say?
Susum says, "OP, run and never look back."
Yeah, I mean that's really I think the key here: run and don't look back. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, How do I, a 28-year-old female, find out if the guy that I'm talking to, a 34-year-old male, is stupid? Well, I don't have much dating experience, as in, my relationships have all been very good and have been relatively long. But entering the dating world and being part of it for 2 years has been eye opening. I went fully in. I had dates lined up, and I could pick up on the red flag so quickly, or so I thought. And I've also attempted to burn the haystack method. I don't know what that is.
No idea.
For one reason or another, I've decided that I didn't want to continue with the guys. My friends have told me that it's pretty harsh just to cut the guys off prematurely. Well, this last guy, however, seems great. We've had very similar interests, and he seems well established. He owns his own home, he solo travels, and he has a good job and with his family business, and he seems very close with his family. But he can't spell. In almost every text, there are pretty bad spelling mistakes. I've corrected him once jokingly, and he blames his autocorrect. They are mistakes like paid versus paid, and road versus road, PAYED versus PAID, and ROAD versus RODE, to the point where I'm unsure of what his cognitive issues might be. We still have great conversations. He asked me out on a date, and I told him that I need a few days to think about it. We have been texting and calling for several weeks. I really don't want to be this shallow, but this made me look into him. I ended up finding out that he has been had a felony charge from when he was a teenager. He stole an ATV with his friend because they were lost in the woods at night. According to his story, he was very forthcoming with the information and told me that told me about any other traffic tickets he's had. I told him that I appreciated him being so upfront, and he told me that he hopes that I can see him for who he is and not just the report. With my limited experience, I'm really unsure. I don't want to be too judgy, but I feel like with those two things combined, he might be a little slow. But I have no way of really telling. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, OP, you don't have to date people for whatever reason you want, but I think you're picking really, really odd things to focus on. There are a lot of reasons why someone who is very intelligent could misspell things. Yeah, learning disabilities like dyslexia are a possibility. They could also just be typing very fast and not paying attention to what keys they're hitting. And so I wouldn't immediately rule someone out of the dating pool because they're a bad speller. And then trying to use this, like, it's fine if you don't like that he stole an ATV and when he was a teenager and you're concerned about that. I mean, if he really stole it under the circumstances he says, I can understand why he would do that. But, you know, I don't, again, see why that would be a sign that he's quote unquote a little slow. It seems like he was just trying to get out of the woods.
So, as for the felony charge, I think that it's kind of absurd to hold a felony charge against him, a 30-something-year-old male who hasn't committed any other crimes or anything like that since they were a teenager.
I mean, maybe he's just getting better at it. Maybe he steals ATVs all the time now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just learned from his mistakes and is actually very good stealing now. I don't know. I think that this needs to be carefully examined, and I think that OP is making a horrible mistake by misjudging this person. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the way you tell if somebody is smart is you sit down and talk with them, you go on dates, and if they start saying stuff that's not so smart, you have your answer, right?
Well, that's the thing is like he's asking OP out on a date. It sounds like they haven't even gone on a date yet, and it's not like you're committing to marry him if you actually go out on a date.
Yeah, and if intelligence is important to OP, that's fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not everything in life is about intelligence, and if he, what is it, like Mark Twain or someone says, it's better to be an idiot than have everyone assume you're an idiot than to open your mouth and confirm it or something like that, right? People who are not necessarily the brightest will reveal that they are, right? And I mean, sometimes even people who are not super smart or something like that are still smart enough to know what they don't know, right? And they, to be like, oh, intelligence is this most important thing, and I can't actually date somebody who might be a commoner or something like that. I think it is shallow. I mean, I think that you certainly if you get along with somebody and you're basically doing well with them, it doesn't really matter how intelligent they are. I mean, you just have intelligences that or interests that mesh well, right?
Right. Well, and again, the texting typos, it it. Sorry, I'm blanking. I lost my train of thought. But basically if you have really good conversations outside of a few typos, then why are you letting a few typos hold you up?
Well, that's what I was kind of trying to say. But what do the comments have to say?
Susum says, according to Google, burnt haystack method is if you are looking for a needle in a haystack. By options, don't waste time sorting through it, burn the whole thing down. In dating terms, this means using strong filters to flush out anyone incompatible before investing too much time in them. Okay, so she's basically just eliminating anyone and everyone who doesn't fit her exact definition.
Yeah, I mean, I think sure you can do that, but you might end up filtering out too many people.
Right, you're gonna lose a lot of good people. There are a lot of things to watch out for, but I would be more concerned about controlling and manipulative behavior and less concerned about typos.
Yeah. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Pretending Not to Know My Girlfriend After She Faked Proposed to Me at Olive Garden? Like this red flag. So this happened last night, and my stomach still hurts from the stress and breadsticks. I'm a 28-year-old male, and I've been dating my girlfriend Jess, a 26-year-old female, for almost a year. She's hilarious, super into pranks, and always looked for a way to make everyday situations go viral. I'm more low key, kind of an introvert, and just generally try not to embarrass myself in public. Well, anyways, last night we went to Olive Garden. Don't judge. I like the soup and the salad combo. While I was eating, she suddenly gasped and said I forgot something in the car. She came back in 5 minutes later and she was wearing a full on wedding dress. A full on white gown, veil, bouquet. The whole restaurant turned to look at her. She walked over to me, drops on one knee, and says, Baby, will you make me the happiest woman in Olive Garden? And say yes. I panicked. I froze. And then I just said, I think you have the wrong table, and I looked away. She laughed awkwardly, stood up, and tried to play it off, but it was clear that the vibe had completely tanked. The staff didn't know whether to clap or call security. We boxed our food up and left in silence. Now she's mad, saying that I humiliated her and that she went to all that effort to make it a funny memory and that I should have just gone along with it. I told her that springing a fake proposal in public was kind of cruel. She said that I have no sense of humor, and now she's barely texting me back. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, if you're not willing for to have a public rejection, don't do a public proposal. Especially, it sounds like this was a prank. And so I don't know what her goal was to get OP to say yes and then like, haha, I fooled you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, then you're making him the butt of the joke. Like, that wasn't even a genuine proposal, which you can reject genuine proposals. But it looks like OP knew he was being set up and preemptively rejected it so she didn't get to publicly humiliate him.
Yeah, I mean, if this was actually not a real proposal, then I mean, I think that she made a bad mistake. I think, again, like if you ever make a joke proposal, you have to assume that it's going to be treated like a real proposal. And as for like whether or not, I just think that she made a bad decision. I
Mm-hmm.
think like if OP is kind of a private person, they
Mm-hmm.
don't like public proposals or anything like that, then they should have respected that and not done something public for them, right?
Yeah.
Plain and simple. But what do the comments have to say?
Tuesday says, I'm so sick of pranks not being pranks, not the jerk. What is the joke here?
That's what I want to know. Is like, what is this even? You know, why are they trying to? What about this is funny? Aha! I proposed to you at Olive Garden.
Right, in a full on wedding gown. And
Yeah.
it's like, why get into a full wedding gown to do a proposal
Mm-hmm.
also?
That's what I want to know. I don't know. I don't know. I think she just thought it was going to be really funny, and OP didn't play into it. But I mean, also, I think that means that maybe they're not as compatible
Mm-hmm.
as they could be.
I mean, she just needs to find another prankster and they can just live out their lives one-upping each other.
Yes. Speaking of compatibility, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk If I Pay an Instagram Model to Seduce Somebody's Spouse? There is someone who I really don't like at all. I don't want to go into the details of what they did. I want to pay an Instagram model to seduce and date their spouse. But I'm not going to pay them to sleep with their spouse, so the model isn't actually prostituting themselves out. Would I be the butt face if I just paid the Instagram model to go on dates and flirt with this person's spouse? The plan is to pay the model to keep talking to the spouse until the spouse gets caught cheating. If this person's spouse is actually faithful, they wouldn't be cheating on their partner. In this case, I either wasted my money or my enemy gets cheated on. The model doesn't have to sleep with anybody, and they can decide if they want to keep seducing and get paid. It's completely up to the spouse if they want to cheat or not. So, am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, I think maybe your money would be better spent on therapy to work through whatever issues you have with this enemy. This is not a healthy way of approaching a situation, and I don't see this resolution going the way you want it to.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the temptation of something like this, but I think that the person that they are hurting more is the spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the spouse shouldn't be basically the sacrifice here. They haven't done anything to OP. They're not the person who's hurt OP. And revenge like this is such a messy thing. Is OP really going to feel good about this if it really, destroys this person's life or something like that,
Although
right?
it sounds like the person, I was a little confused by which one in the post was like, it sounds like OP is trying to get the nemesis's partner to cheat, so the nemesis would get hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I'm saying is like that's really unfair to the nemesis partner, right?
Well, I mean, if they make the active choice to cheat, they make the active choice to cheat.
Well, yeah, I'm not disputing that, right? I mean, I think that they,
But I do agree that like they're using them as a means, they're
yes,
using them as a prop in their plot.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I feel like if you're going to do some kind of revenge type thing, then it needs to be directed at the person, not the people involved with the person,
Well,
right?
I also don't think in general revenge, like I understand the
No,
temptation for revenge, but
I mean, I don't like revenge personally. I think
yeah.
that revenge is kind of a petty thing that
Well, on this magnitude anyway. Like I love a good petty revenge, but something on this magnitude where we're talking about like destroying a bunch of people's lives potentially. Like we don't know what kind of fallout this would have,
hmm
and how many people are going to be affected by this. Like, are there kids involved?
hmm
And if there are kids, then absolutely do not do this because the kids do not deserve to be put in that situation.
Yeah. But what do the comments have to say?
Susum says, yes, OP is a jerk. Just leave the people alone. Have to say, it sounds kind of childish. Something I would think is cool in high school.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel very like high schooly or middle schooly or something like that, you know? But speaking of high schooly, our next letter is titled, My Fiance Told Me That I'm Not a Real Woman Because I Don't Want to Do an All Natural Birth. And I really think that this segue actually works.
Yeah.
Throwaway account because my fiance does not know my Reddit. My fiance is pushing an all natural birth at home with her family and my midwife to help. But I'm scared of the idea of doing this without any medicine at all. My pain is not to be played with. I cry even when I hit my arm on the edge or I stub my toe. My fiance mostly wants me to get a natural birth because he already told me that he's not helping out with the hospital bill and how it's going to be so expensive and we would save so much money if I did an all natural one at home. He also doesn't want my baby to be injected with an epidural and thinks that I could die or be paralyzed from an epidural. He tells me that his sister and mom did it all natural and that women that don't do it all the time and that women do it all the time and why can't I? Something is wrong with me. So I'm 33 weeks pregnant and I'm freaking out. All right, folks, what do you think?
OP, I would recommend, like, if you have someone else you can stay with for the duration of this pregnancy, do that. He is a cheapskate who is more concerned about his wallet than your health and well being. I understand hospital bills should not be as expensive as they are. I understand the concerns about medical debt, but that is something he should have taken into consideration when deciding to have a child with you. If that is an absolute no-go for him, then he should have found someone who was on the same page as him, not try to spring this on you and be like, yeah, you should just like skip out all the hospital stuff so we can save money.
You know, who does he think he is saying that the hospital bills aren't his responsibility?
Mm-hmm.
Of course they're his responsibility. This is his partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is something that they are both responsible
Right.
for. And he should be supporting his partner, not trying to coerce her into a situation she's not comfortable with.
Right. Well, I also love how someone who will presumably never give birth is making judgments about how easy this is to do. It's like, first of all, everyone has a different pain tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not fair to make assessments about other people's pain tolerances. But just because person A was able to have a quote unquote all natural delivery, that doesn't mean person B will be able to.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also not the one who's ever going to be in the situation. So it's easy to be like, oh yeah, it's so easy, you don't have to worry about it, it's not that bad, when you're never going to go through the situation. Like, I can't imagine saying that to someone, being like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's no big deal, it's going to be so easy peasy.
Yeah. And welcome, Mary. I'm glad that you could join us, even if it is a little late. I don't think there are any comments. No comments from the peanut gallery. That's right. Speaking of,
Susum says,
oh yeah.
OP get a new fiance. Before the medicine, all kinds of people died. Medicine is here for a reason.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good point.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of another thing I was going to bring up is that if OP were to have complications, the midwife would still have to bring OP to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing natural births, if you're working with an actually licensed midwife or doula, they will like tell you that you need to go to the hospital if the birth isn't progressing as it's supposed to. They'll call an ambulance. You're going to have extra bills on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like which of course at that point in time, it's about saving your life and saving the baby and everything. Like the extra cost shouldn't be an issue, but like him being like, we're going to save so much money. No, you're not if things go sideways.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to jeopardize everyone's well-being.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And speaking of jeopardizing everyone's well-being, I don't know. That doesn't quite work here, but we'll go with it. Am I the jerk because my aunt ate my dog's food accidentally and claims that I let her?
Another epic segue.
Hi. It's my first post here, so please let me know if there's anything that I've done wrong, and I'll be happy to amend. Disclaimer, there was no medical concern at any time, and it was all edible and fine. I'm a 25-year-old female, and I own a little house where I live with my 1-year-old medium big dog. Some backstory: my kitchen is structured in such a way that there's an area dedicated to my dog's things: dog food storage, bowls, food toppers, kefirs, spoons for them, wet food supplements, dedicated sponges to clean his bowls, basically everything that has to do with his nutrition. Among these things, I have a shelf that contains food toppers, which I sometimes add to his food to make it more palatable. These are different types of flavors, like sirloin, mussel, or other kinds of fish, lamb, chicken, and they are in powdered form and contain a little wooden spoon inside of each jar. They are labeled, and the label says what it is and what's intended for. But there's no dog on the label, and that would make it super obvious at first glance and that it's a dog item. That's just how the brand labels its products, though. Well, on to the gist. My aunt, a 60-year-old female, came to visit today as she needed me to do a few things for her. New type of phone, so I needed to help her set it up. When she arrived, I saw that I needed something longish to be able to open the compartment that would let me add the SIM card to it. I told her to wait, and then I went to look for one. Apparently, she was thirsty, so she went to the kitchen for water and to snoop around a bit, it seems. Harmless, haha. When I came back, I saw that she was in the kitchen holding one of my dog's jars. I didn't think much of it. I thought that she was reading it because she has a dog too, and she might be interested. Next thing I hear is her asking what I use the powder for, and that it tastes quite nice. I immediately gasped and I let her know that I use it for my dog and it's dog food. She freaked out, understandably. I assured her that while it's used for dogs, it's completely fine and safe for humans, and it's nothing is going to happen to her at all. And I apologized for the fact that she had eaten that in my house. And she started blaming me for leaving food toppers there. It's on a rack over my dog's food corner, over his bowls. I told her that that wasn't fair and that while she's welcome to anything in my house and can eat whatever she wants, she should have asked about it and given where it was located and what it was surrounded by. She has now gone to my mom, my other aunts, cousins, and everyone who will listen to her and tell them about how I let her eat a spoonful of dog powder food stuff that I've gotten some mixed responses from haha poor aunt to full on laughing to oh that's awful, you're the jerk. What do you think, Reddit? Should I start storing the toppers behind closed cabinets, although she opens the cabinets whenever she wants to as well? I label them dog food just in case, or just label them dog food just in case, or move on and think of it as a funny story. I don't think that I'm a jerk per se, but at the end of the day, she did eat the food on my watch, so I don't know. Thanks. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. Aunt chose to be nosy and to try things in OP's cupboards without asking, and I feel like she paid the price, the natural consequence.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was certainly like a level of natural consequence here. I mean, come on. You go into somebody's house and you eat food and you don't ask them about it. I mean, they could have asked them about it before they tried it.
Right. Well, and seeing it with all the dog food, I feel like that might have tipped me off that like it was dog stuff. But even if it didn't, like if you've never seen the brand before, it might be worth just being like, "Hey, LP, tell me about this thing you got here."
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But what did the comments have to say?
Susum says, I remember one wet cat food that smelled so tasty that I really wanted to be a cat. Animal foods mostly are fine for human health. Well, that reminds me, when I was a kid, my sister and I used to play Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I'd be
Yeah.
Sabrina and she'd be Salem.
Yeah.
And so usually she would eat like canned tuna, like we'd put tuna in a bowl for her, but one time she ate the actual cat food to see what it was like.
Yeah. I mean, I think all kids have tried, pet food at one time or another. Like, it's just one of those things where, you know, there's a morbid curiosity about it, right? Like, I mean, I think I ate a little tiny bit of kibble or something like that when I was a kid. It doesn't taste very good.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually did. Mary says, I didn't let her do anything. She was caught snooping slash sampling, not the jerk.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Well, that's it. Yeah, she just like walked in and grabbed stuff out of Opie's cupboard. It's not like, is Opie supposed to be policing her every move?
Speaking of policing everyone's every move, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Inviting My Girlfriend to My Promotion Dinner Because I Knew She Would Make It About Her? So I'm a 35-year-old male and I've been dating Marla, a 34-year-old female, for 2 years. And I love her. She's smart, driven, and dramatic, especially when the attention isn't paid to her. I just got promoted to a partner at my firm. This is huge for me and I've worked towards it for almost a decade. My colleagues threw a small celebratory dinner and I decided not to invite Marla. Why? Because last time I got recognized at work, Employee of the Year award, she spent the entire dinner talking about how she once turned her down a big promotion to prioritize her mental health. She hijacked every compliment meant for me. So this time I went alone, and I told her that it was just coworkers. She found out through a tagged photo, and now she's livid, and she accused me of hiding her and said that I embarrassed her and that I made her feel like a trophy that I keep in the closet. I explained my reasons, and she called me shallow and insecure. I feel awful, but I also feel like I deserved a night where I didn't have to babysit someone else's ego. Am I the jerk for excluding my girlfriend from my promotion dinner because I knew she would make it about herself? All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think OP's in the wrong for not wanting her to be there, but I also think, like, how did he not think this was going to come back to bite him?
Yeah.
I think he needed to have a sit down conversation with her beforehand and let her know exactly why she's not invited. Because, yeah, I wouldn't want someone like that there either. She's not a supportive partner in this instance. And I would personally, if I were OP, kind of evaluate the relationship and see are there other areas where her ego is getting in the way of the relationship. Like if she can't be happy for OP and can't celebrate OP ever, what does that mean? Like, are all their anniversaries just about her? Is every celebration about her? When does OP get his day in the limelight?
I mean, I think that's actually a really good point, right? I mean, I think that framing it that way is good. Like, when is OP going to get their moment in the sun? And I think that if she's too busy stealing the limelight, then OP is never going to get that, right? And I don't know why she needs to be this petty and jealous about OP's like achievements.
Mm-hmm.
And that does concern me because I think that she's going to again turn these kinds of things into a way to extol herself as opposed to taking a moment and reflecting on other people as well.
Right, like celebrating other people does not make you lesser than,
Mm-hmm.
And this was a really big moment, and she should have been excited to be there for OP,
Mm-hmm.
but her whole reaction doesn't show any kind of remorse. She is calling him like, what was it, petty, shallow, and insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which there's nothing shallow about not wanting someone else to hog the spotlight and turn your event. Like, it wasn't like she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was doing that. I will work on that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if she had said that, because there are people who are just oblivious and don't understand that they are making things all about them. That I could see, like, maybe there's some, like, working through, but if she just always has to be the center of attention, what does she, like, what good is she bringing to this relationship that makes it worth salvaging?
Yeah. But what do the comments have to say?
Mary says OP paints a pretty convincing portrait of a life without the girlfriend. Does she have a plus side? And then Susum says lies always come out, so OP is kind of the jerk, but maybe it's time to rethink this relationship if it's not working. Again, Amber said it all I was thinking. That is why I often skip comments and just enjoy videos. Oh, it's great to hear your additions too.
Oh yeah, I mean we always enjoy it, and I mean Amber does do a really good job. She's very thorough in her opinions.
Well, I could just talk all the time. I have to shut myself up.
Well, you know, the thing is, like, I think that Susum's really brings up a good point here that lying to your partner isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, if you find yourself like constantly lying to your partner, that's something to examine and understand. Like, why are you lying to your partner, right?
Right. Why can't you be honest with them about this facet of your life?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because if it's because you know they won't support you, where are they supporting you?
Mm-hmm. So couples therapy should have been a minimum before they even got to this point, and it feels like the relationship at this point in time is probably going to continue to like crack and to break because now she's gonna feel hurt and slighted, and they didn't work on hard conversations that need to be had, through therapy and couples counseling, and so now things are just gonna kind of like I think further erode.
Mm-hmm. We have two. I think we'll have time for the two at the end, as well as maybe one more.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes.
Okay.
So
I was just reminding you that we have two final ones today instead of just one.
Yeah, yes. We do have two ones, but we still are well ahead of time, ahead of schedule. So I will read our next one. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Wife That the Book that she's reading seems unrealistic? So I'm creating an account just to post here, as I want to prove to my wife that I'm not in the wrong with my opinion on this, and I know that she watches videos of YouTubers where people read these out loud. So I'm a 34-year-old guy, and my wife is a 25-year-old, and she's really into reading things and likes a lot of sappy stuff. She recently was lent a book by a friend of hers, and she wouldn't stop talking about it. From what I gathered, it's about a bunch of British werewolves who live together in a small town. I was mildly interested at that part as I'm 30% English and the rest being Italian. She mentioned that the werewolves all have white hair no matter how old they are, and that included two African American werewolves who live in the town. So here's where I disagree. I said that it was really unrealistic to have two African Americans living in a small rural town in Britain, as I know that they are usually mostly white, and that it sounds like the writer just threw them in there for diversity's sake. She started arguing, saying that it didn't make sense in the story. I said that it did, and I said that it didn't, and that the writer probably just wasn't even British. So am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, Opie, I think you need to check some things here. If you think black people in a story is unrealistic, but werewolves, that's fine.
I mean, I've seen real werewolves, so I mean, I think that they are perfectly. I don't know.
Like, first of all, like even a lot of small towns are not as white as they used to be. Like Maine is a very white state, but we're not nearly as white as we used to be.
Yeah.
And there's nothing unrealistic about having, people of color in stories set in Maine, even in small towns. And I have not been to Britain, but I imagine, especially that it's probably similar over there, that things are a lot less like there's a lot more people of all types in all places these days. And it's really weird to me that OP's hang up, again, is not that there are werewolves, which literally don't exist, but that there are a couple of black characters in the book.
Yeah. I just think that it's in poor taste. I do. Well, what do the comments have to say? Or it looks like maybe no comments have anything to say. But we'll go to tea time then. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
I always see donuts carrying umbrellas outside. They must have them in case it sprinkles.
Ah, ha, ha.
And this is from the Ultimate Joke Challenge.
Yes. So, it looks like we have a lot of people keeping cool indoors. 40% of everyone. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just went with other because, I wanted to say that my big July thing is I get to be a published novelist.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of which, I now have a YouTube channel for my writing. I keep
Oh
forgetting
yeah.
to mention that, but it's just my username is Amber underscore Hathaway underscore writes. So I'll be doing a live stream on July 5th at 6 p.m. if anyone wants to join. And it's just going to be a Q&A, and we're going to talk about my book and writing and cool stuff, cozy thing.
Yeah. So maybe I'll make an appearance there too.
Yes. It'll just be kind of like hanging out with us with less Reddit stories.
Yes. Fewer Reddit stories, more Amber stories.
Yes.
And I have a tea here. Oh, you're gonna guess Mega Mint Tuesday? Let's see. Any other guessers? Any other takers on what kind of tea I've got? Going once, going twice. I think there's like a 30-second delay here, so
Mm-hmm.
I probably have to wait to have people make their full guesses.
And Susan says, I want fun in the sun because we have a very cold and rainy summer. I just want sun. We had a really rainy stretch for a while there. Like every weekend, it was raining here in Maine.
Yeah, it's been cold and dreary and stuff like that.
And then we had a heat wave at the beginning of this week. It went from like the 60s and 70s, which were like perfectly temperate finally, to like the 80s and 90s. There's one day we
Hmm.
were hit like 97,
Yeah.
and it was like weather. That's not what I meant when I said I wanted summer.
Yeah, what was your YouTube channel again?
My YouTube handle is uh, at Amber underscore Hathaway underscore writes.
All right, I'm gonna post that real quick to the thing here so that uh,
And so I have a couple videos posted there. I have my like unboxing my books reel, and I have like an intro video. Not a ton of stuff, and I'm not going to be posting there like every week or anything, but just kind of when I have some bookish stuff to share, or I want to have like a hangout space, like to, you know, because not all of us can come to Maine and be in my in-person book releases. So I'd like to let people who are not in Maine, kind of have a book launch thing as well.
yeah,
Oh, and Mary says last year we had over 100 straight days of triple digit weather. I am glad I do not live there. I don't know if we even hit triple digits last year. There were a couple very toasty days, but like once I hit the triple digits, I'm like, ah.
yeah. The triple digits are no fun. We rarely get into the triple digits here.
Very rarely these days.
Very, very rarely.
Now that we've said it, we're just gonna have like 100 degree days for the rest of the year.
Oh yeah, and I have Earl Grey. But now we have two last stories to read here, so I'm gonna actually get those going here, and then we'll finish off everything here. So our next letter is titled, speaking of overachievers, I guess Amber being the overachiever here. Our next letter is titled, My Wife Insists on Hanging Awards That She Got in High School. My wife insists on hanging awards that she got in high school. I'm a 34-year-old female, and my wife, a 33-year-old female, just bought our first house. We're in the midst of redecorating an office. Well, obviously, we're hanging our respective diplomas. However, my wife still wants to hang up medals and awards that she got when she received them as a teen. Since the Olympiad, Science Olympiad, Model UN plaques from high school, medals from an art show in 8th grade, ribbons from track meets when she was 16. I get it. She rightfully is proud of these accomplishments. I just don't feel like they have a place on the wall next to her literal doctorate. How can I tell her this without hurting her feelings or diminishing those events? All right, folks, what do you think?
You can't. I would just keep your mouth closed about this. This is not worth fighting the battle.
Mm-hmm.
These awards and achievements are special to her. And the thing is, they were big for her at the time. Like, she has a PhD now. That's not something she could feasibly have had at 13, when she was getting her, like, kids awards. our awards that we've gotten before are not diminished by what we do in the future. Like they're still very relevant and important parts of who we were.
Hmm.
You know, I still have all my old like high school awards, and like I don't have any of them hanging up. But if I were to hang up my PhD, I might put some like my first Lego League medal up, or like my Chinese awards. I get the foreign language award for Chinese for 3 years.
Hmm.
You know, and like it's not something that like means like things to the world, but it means something to me. And I think that's what matters, that it means something to OP's wife.
Hmm.
And why does it matter if she's hanging up things that are special to her on her side of the office?
Well, I think that's exactly it. It's like there are a lot of things that she has takes pride in, and it doesn't matter that she takes pride in them if they were from a long time ago or from last week, right? She wants to display them because they remind her of where she's come from, right? And I think that OP, like, I just think that they need to understand that these things are important to their partner and respect that they're important to them, and not try to be like, well, you have a PhD now, so you don't need any of these other awards and stuff like that, right?
Right. Like I still have like all my old scary stories that I wrote as a kid, and they're absolutely terrible. But they were an important step in like the process of becoming the person I am today. And so like I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to celebrate your past self and your
Mm-hmm.
past accomplishments.
But what do the comments have to say?
Tuesday says, all of her achievements matter. This is her history. This is her life. OP is the jerk for judging. And Mary says, are the awards sneaking out of the room and hovering over your bed, knife in hand? Then don't sweat the small stuff. I think we've unlocked a new horror story idea.
I think we have. I like it. I like it a lot. Speaking of a new horror story, our next letter is titled "Am I a jerk for taking my grandma to eat lobster?" And looks like Susan Sims has
Yes.
one more comment.
Susam says, I don't see any harm to display them, especially if it's in the office.
Yeah. So I'm a 19-year-old, and my maternal grandmother, a 79-year-old, has been living with us since my grandfather passed away 2 years ago. Said the house reminded her too much of him. Well, last year, she got a health checkup at the hospital, and the doctors warned her that their LDL levels had gotten too high and that she had to start watching what she eats. Didn't prescribe medications, though. Well, she has made changes. She's replaced potato chips with fruits like kiwi fruits, and she no longer eats junk food. Her diet now consists mainly of fish and vegetables. Yesterday, she asked if I could drive her to a restaurant to have lobster. Since I have recently got my driver's license, well, she decided not to renew hers. She said that she knows that she won't pass the reflex test and doesn't want to embarrass herself. I hesitated and she said that it's just one meal and it wouldn't hurt after her new diet. And that she is going in for a checkup at the end of the month, anyways. So I took her. But my mom was upset when she found out and said that it always starts with just one meal and that I should spend more time thinking before doing something. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. I mean, OP's grandma is old enough to make up her own mind in her own decisions.
Yeah.
And I really hate the way that some people infantilize older adults. Like,
Mm,
there are some situations where people are not cognitively be able to make their own decisions anymore,
yeah.
and that gets to be tricky. But it sounds like grandma is just, you know, of sound mind and is able to make her own decisions and is largely compliant. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a meal that you really enjoy every now and again, even when you have to monitor, because it's not like eating lobster one time is going to throw your cholesterol levels sky high and that's the end.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a couple of issues here that I have is that OP's grandmother is doing the responsible thing and saying, "Look, I know I can't drive myself,
Hmm.
so I'm not going to do that anymore." And now the mom wants to punish her for that, right? So
Hmm.
making a responsible decision and saying, "I know what's within my abilities,
Hmm.
and I'm going, it's no wonder that, sometimes people don't want to give up their driver's license
Yeah.
because of exactly this kind of thing. You lose freedoms if people
Right.
start treating you like you can't make your own decisions,
Yeah,
right?
and are gonna micromanage your life for you.
Mm-hmm. And all this is going to do is encourage the grandmother to get like an Uber or something like that. If she really wants to go to Red Lobster, she's gonna go to Red Lobster, right? I mean, no amount of like trying to stop her will change that unless you like chain her to her bed.
Right. Well, and think of all the people in their 30s and 40s who are told they need to change their diets
Yeah.
and then don't.
Yeah.
And no one's telling them, like, oh, well, you shouldn't be letting them go out to eat. We recognize that people in their 30s and their 40s are able to make their own health decisions, even if they make bad, unadvised health decisions by their doctors, even if they contradict their doctor's wishes.
Yeah.
Opie's grandma is 79 years old. She's had a full life.
Yeah.
Like, I think that she should be able to make, like, people in their 30s and 40s have a lot more life ahead of them.
Yeah.
That they are affecting with their decisions. Grandma's 79, she could have more years, but like, it's not,
Yeah, let her have a lobster.
Yeah, let her enjoy her last years.
I mean, not even last year.
Yeah,
she could still live for another 20 years.
I mean, she could live for another 20 years.
Like, just because she's eating a lobster here or there doesn't change that. And I think that the mom is just being overly concerned and over worried. She's not even on medication.
Well, that's it too. Like, they haven't even prescribed. It's not an issue enough that they've even prescribed her medication.
Yeah. So yeah, the mom needs to butt out of her mother's business and let her do her own thing. She's doing a fine job of taking care of herself. She's already made the changes she's needed to. But what do the comments have to say?
So Sue Sims says, smart grandma not to drive herself if she feels uncomfortable, and grandma is old and may not live too long. Let her have at least some fun in her life.
Yeah, I think so. But, and Mary just...
Mary says, every grandchild should be so compassionate toward their mimis and papas. Mom is doing her due diligence. Betcha inside mom was touched.
I hope so. I really do. But, folks, it is that time. The time to end the live stream. Thanks so much for watching. I thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun, too.
I had fun.
Amber had fun. I had fun. We all had fun. Scream. I don't know. So I hope your plans for July go well, and I hope that you have a great month. I hope you had a great June.
Yeah, it's been quite the month.
It has. Very busy. Very, very busy. Too busy.
Yeah, it has been very busy, and I am going to be so happy when this book is out there in the world. And I mean, obviously, I'll still have to. It doesn't end there. I still have other books to write, and still have to like promote it and stuff. But like, at least I will finally have it out in the world.
Yeah. Well, we are glad you were able to join us for those 22 minutes of fun, Mary. Yes, and also Amber, your book.
No, that's fine.
I kind of jumped around here. And folks, our next live stream is going to be on July 25. As you can see, I've taken the liberty to update the board already. So, yeah, maybe I was ahead of time today.
Yeah.
So, thanks again for everyone for joining us today. And hopefully next month won't be quite as hectic.
Yeah.
But again, thanks everyone. And I guess we'll see you all later.
Yes. Bye.
I'm just typing in the chat now.
Yes.
I can't even spell.
Then you shouldn't try dating that OP from that one story.
I wasn't planning that. See you tomorrow, Mary.
See ya.